research. Let me put it that way. We don't spend a lot of money on research and innovation. I don't have the figures now, but I would wager that as a percentage of our GDP, that industry is minimal. Where in advanced economies, where you find is that most innovation is driven by academics, it's driven by the university. The military industrial complex has very strong links to universities, so space programs, and so on and so forth. So I think I'll come down and decide to say, no, I don't think it affects the practice. And that just to bolster his point.
So I would also point to the aspect of commercialization of the research. For example, take the products that were developed by Hub. None of these were moved over into a manufacturing investor who could then start mass producing them and marketing them into the market for adoption. That's a key aspect that I see missing in the industry. So the research is being done and implemented on a piloting or small scale, but the translation into the mass market, I think, is missing.
You know, most clients do not want, they are used to what, you know, is conventional. And so, to be able to convince a client to take, say, an alternative technology or construction technique means that it is something that is in existence. It's something that he can actually feel and know that when I put my money in this, I am not risking too much. And so it boils down to the fact that I think it goes back to the issue of application of research, for example, where we haven't developed the concept to the point where people can appreciate that these technologies also give the same value as, or equal value as what the conventional technologies will give. And so in practice, it is not that easy, and you find it very hard to convince somebody, for example, to say that if somebody who has his money, for example, to say, okay, I want to build you these things in the round earth. You know, our acculturation, you know, the way we think about buildings as something that has to be long-lasting. You know, in Africa, I don't know, houses or buildings supposed to have lifespan, but we see buildings are supposed to be forever. So the man is thinking about, will this building stand the next 20, 30, 50 years? Otherwise, then I'm not going to venture into that. So we need to actually do more to try and, you know, test the technologies to the point where people can begin to accept that.
I think there's certainly a resistance, and I think for me, I see it as a matter of trends, that what is trendy, it's almost like fashion, you know. Now, we were building with alternative technology, as it were, already before colonization. We were using what's around us, we were using materials available readily. Then something changed in terms of perception of what a building represents, and maybe it's a challenge to the people in this room, and maybe even to government, in a sense of changing that trend and endorsing something, you know, just as with fashion or other things, that you need someone to endorse and champion it so that everybody else can accept it and find it acceptable. So it's hard to sell to a single client, but probably if government embraced it, and we had large schemes which were successful and had employed a lot of these alternative technology, then it would be an easier sell to clients and say, this building has been built with that. This has been, you see, it's very beautiful. It does not mean that alternative technology is not good looking. It just means that it's efficient, it has certain efficiencies that we should embrace. So I think it's also almost from a trend point, and we can't run away from the fact that architecture is a lot about trends, and it's a lot about what somebody else is doing and driving that. Right now it's all about glass, so changing that has to be very deliberate, and maybe it's a challenge to us as an association, as Kenyan architects and quantity surveyors and engineers, specifying these products, to start specifying them all and taking a deliberate effort to sell them to our clients.
We're selling both, and we've been selling the idea of alternative building technologies for some time. But like my fellow panelists have said, there is some resistance. And I think part of the problem as well is that we spend a lot of time looking at finance, demand and supply, but we don't necessarily pay attention to the psychology of housing. Housing is very aspirational. Most of the people that the ABTs are meant to serve are the bottom of the pyramid. People who couldn't usually afford a typical brick and mortar house. But these people are looking ahead. They'd rather save their money to build their dream house, and then you come and tell them that they should build with mud. But all their heroes don't live in mud houses. Housing is very aspirational, and until you have some of the people they aspire to start to embrace this technology, and in Africa there's a clerics, those are government officials, you know, there's a local council, tribal, you know, chiefs. Until they start to embrace these technologies, quite frankly, it's, in my honest opinion, it's an academic exercise.
Blockchain, is this thing for other people, or can this industry of ours basically take advantage of a distributed ledger?
Now, for me, what I think of when I think of blockchain, or rather when I hear blockchain, I immediately think of the question of cryptocurrencies and what they mean to the whole idea of what you call it, the non-gold-backed currencies. But in the construction or housing sense, I think blockchain can be used as a platform for social mapping. Now, specifically how that can be applied, probably we'll have to leave it to the guys who are doing coding, the guys who are building apps on Android and such platforms. I think there is potential in terms of social mapping, which then goes to capturing, for example, what you mentioned in terms of trends and what different people aspire to and things like that, and therefore making this information readily available to the providers of these solutions, so from government, designers, etc.
We talk about innovation, but what I see put up is the ordinary house that we've always seen around. So, are we saying we have gone full cycle? So we say we've complicated it so much, so that when we try to make it simple, we end up where we started anyway. I mean, folks in the village have always built with brick, and it was very cheap. Some of us grew in some of them.
We also, as government, have been accused of being slow to take in the innovations. Because if we take in a new material and our bylaws do not allow for that material, then the building will not be approved. So I think government also needs to move in terms of innovation and to catch up with the changing times. In fact, even the building code we use is very old. They say it's 1968 as we stand today, and we are in 2018. So we are 50 years behind time in terms of building code.
Architects need to drive innovation. I think that's a worthy challenge, but maybe in the context of affordable, there are other fundamentals. You know, the Sydney houses and all that did not have the limit of resources as in the context of affordable housing, where the equation is totally different in terms of aesthetic and the like. It's almost even acceptability. So I think the point is well taken.
There's a divide between when you're out there, you practice like a practitioner. And when you're in school, then you practice as an academician. But one over, there's no line. Those feed into that and that feed into that.